What's up, people? This is the People's Podcast presented by the Wrestling Republic. It's your boy, Young Meechy, aka Scooney Mac, aka Young Twiggy, and my co-host is.
Show, it's the beast sleeping in the east, ready for another podcast. Yo, you ready for this, Meech?
I
Yep.
am ready. I'm definitely am ready.
Yeah.
I believe I got to start getting these number of episodes right. I believe this is episode 18. It could be 18 or 19. It's one of those.
Oh Lord, here we go. Hey man, we're almost close enough to drink legally out here.
Yeah, we almost there. We almost there. We're gonna start off the podcast and we're gonna talk about Jerry the King Lawler. So Jerry the King Lawler on Monday, he suffered a massive stroke. But I'm gonna read off the update on Jerry the King. They said as of now he's recovering in Fort Myers, Florida hospital. They said his speech is limited, but they saying with rehabilitation, he'll be able to regain full recovery. And of course that he thanks everyone for their continued prayers and that he'll be back in the near future. So tell me your thoughts on Jerry the King.
Honestly, what I gotta say is very scary to see that happen, especially when it's someone you care about. So this is it's rough, man. It's very rough. But that's why they say you got to take care of yourself. But wrestlers are built different, man. So I'm pretty sure he'll be up and running pretty soon.
Yeah.
And one thing I will got to say though is I'm happy for Jimmy Hart to come out and actually see him, man, because he was actually, if you pay attention to his Twitter, Jimmy Hart was there visiting him and making sure you're doing all right, man. Try to get yourself a good friend like Jimmy Hart, man, who will show up for you when you need him.
Definitely. That's why I'm going to just go ahead and continue with your sentiment. I'm going to say my prayers go out to Jerry the King. I know this may take a little while for him to recover fully after suffering from a stroke, but long as, ultimately that he's going to recover, prayers out to him. And then I know for his family, that had to be a scary situation. But just glad that he's has the opportunity to recover. And hopefully we see Jerry the King in a much sooner time. Definitely got to take care of yourself though. But I mean, as you get older, these type of things do take place. So just wish nothing but the best for the King. Let us start off with this right here.
What's up?
Seth Rollins calls out Logan Paul this past week. And we're believing that this can lead to a possible match at WrestleMania, Seth Rollins or Logan Paul. Is that something you would want to see at this year's WrestleMania?
I'll say it like this, man. Every time I see Seth Rollins, I get a good match. Every time. Every time I see Logan Paul, I get a good match. Every time. I'm just saying, hey, man, book it. Make it happen. Because I'm pretty sure we're going to get another 4 to 5 star match. And I'm going to get my money's worth. And I'm going to be entertained. What about you, though?
I'm going to say, I don't know. I don't know about this one. Like, of course, I believe it's going to be a great match. I know that I'll be entertained. But in terms of the value Seth Rollins has right now, Seth Rollins might as well be freaking our version of Mr. WrestleMania, like Shawn Michaels. So I'm like, Seth Rollins against Logan Paul, if it happens, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I just think Seth Rollins could face someone else that because I think Logan Paul, I think a match with him and John Cena, I think that would be great. I think Logan Paul versus I guess maybe that's the only real one that I want to see, maybe him versus John Cena. But I guess Seth Rollins, that it wouldn't be a bad match. It would be a great match. It would be entertaining. I think you can do more with Seth Rollins right now. And that's just my opinion. Yeah.
You know what I'd like to see more?
What?
Ricochet versus Carmelo Hayes versus Logan Paul. I think that'd be dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now who's going over, I don't know. But yeah, I'd like to see it happen. Yeah.
I'm trying to see who else would be a great matchup with Logan Paul outside of, John Cena and then of course Seth Rollins.
He's already faced Rey Mysterio. It looks like Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio is going to happen at WrestleMania. Look like that's what it's leading to. So we can cross that out. AJ Styles is hurt.
Dang, I forgot about AJ Styles. That actually, AJ Styles and Logan Paul. How would that be?
Shoot, AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins would have been more interesting.
Have they haven't faced each other yet, like at a big like pay-per-view yet, huh?
They have. It was during. It was the early part of Seth's earlier when he was the WWE champion, but it just didn't live up to the hype. And I think if you give him a second chance, it'll live up to the hype this time.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, if AJ Styles, I don't know what type of injury AJ Styles has, but if he was able to make a comeback against a Seth Rollins, I think that would be I would love to see that type of match.
Let me see
Especially
what.
out of WrestleMania. Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's see here though. Another match I'm thinking would probably be a good idea. This is why you need Chris Jericho around, because I definitely feed Chris Jericho to Logan Paul, and they can have like a whole beef centered around um about stardom. Like, oh man, Chris Jericho's like, yeah, I got albums, and I'm a rock star. And, AJ and Chris Logan Paul be like, shoot, all right, cool, but you ain't made no waves like I have on the internet, dog. You're doing peanuts. And AJ Styles has confirmed he has a broken ankle.
Ooh. Oh shoot. Then he ain't coming back no time. So he has been gone for a while now, but yeah, that don't look like he coming back anytime soon then.
Nah. He ain't coming back.
And then I don't think Randy Orton's making a comeback anytime soon as well.
I
Before
don't think Orton
WrestleMania.
coming back at all, man. That's a bad back. You can't keep doing the RKO like that.
That's true. That's true. I think he gonna make a comeback, but yeah, I don't. He ain't probably coming back anytime soon, unfortunately.
Like just like that man said, I don't think RK Bro ever coming back, dog.
Yeah, that's interesting. But what I mean, what do you? How would you book the Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio match at WrestleMania?
Well, the one way I can think about making this extra, Dom just goes from 0 to 100 real quick and brings all the problems to Rey Mysterio's doorstep again. This time, though, he actually does show up. They beat the brakes off of Rey Mysterio again. And then on top of that, since we're in the land of wrestling, let's just have Dom and the rest of the Judgment Day kidnap Rey Mysterio's family. Why not? Like, let this be like a 90s storyline. Let it happen. And the reasoning why we do this is that Dom is like, look, Dad, I am tired of living in your shadow, so I got the best way to figure this out. I'm gonna cast a light and erase this shadow, dog. Get rid of you entirely, along with my family. Why not? Because now, if I get rid of you, this will all be over. I don't have to live up to nobody's expectations. It's crazy, but we're in the land of wrestling, so we can make it happen.
What if
At
they?
the following, yeah,
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm saying and as the following weeks go by, you get snippets of what's going on. Rhea Ripley being extra evil and shit in the background. I don't know, Batista bombing her like Ray's daughter or something. I don't know. And then and Ray's like, you know what? All right, I got you. You're gonna get like the craziest version of Rey Mysterio possible. New headgear, new ring attire, everything. He's going all out to make sure to put a stop to his son. And you know what I'll do? I'd make it a ladder match.
Mm. But who would you choose to win?
I'm gonna let Dom win, but it's gonna be in a very emotional win where he's all like, you know what? This ain't what I wanted. Like, I thought I wanted this, but this ain't it.
Mm.
And it could be, we could even do it like The Rock and Hogan, where you know how I forgot, I think it was like when the outsiders turned on Hogan, and they decided, The Rock decided to team up and help him out. We could do the same thing with the Judgment. And
Mm.
we could just let Dominic walk his own path where he could be heel still, but just slightly different. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. So like back when pretty much Hogan had turned on Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and teamed up with The Rock after they match. I
Mm-hmm.
remember that. I would say this is why it's tough. I think this is what makes it tough. Like, of course, I want to see the Rey Mysterio Dominic Mysterio match just because of the father son angle. Like I don't think I really ever seen a father and son wrestle each other, and then Ray still being, Ray still being great and still being able to put on a great match. The tough part is I think Rey Mysterio would want to put his son over. The problem is though, I don't think for me and for most wrestling fans, they want to see Dominic Mysterio go over. Like the
Oh yeah.
reason why is because unlike I know for me and you, we don't look at Dominic Mysterio as like, a bad wrestler. But some fans really look at him like a really bad wrestler, like he ain't good yet. So they would be against seeing him beat Rey Mysterio, especially at this point in his career. Um, so for me, if I was booking it, it's tough because you don't want to bury Dominic by having Ray win, but I just don't feel like Dominic is at that level yet to beat Rey Mysterio. So I guess the way I would book it is Dominic Mysterio wins, but is win by cheating. Like he has to cheat, like maybe Rhea Ripley, somebody from the Judgment Day. Um, but that's the only way I would book it. He is not beating Rey Mysterio clean for me. It is not happening right now.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
almost at the point of saying I want Rey Mysterio to win that match, though.
But if Ray wins, I would like for that match to continue on to like I don't know, like Money in the Bank or SummerSlam or something.
Yeah, it's just I get it, to continue that storyline. Dominic has to win. If Ray wins, it's like okay, Ray didn't need that win. Basically, he didn't need to beat his son. So that's why it's like that's what makes it a little tough. You wish almost that Dominic Mysterio was at that level that people recognize that okay, he's about to carry the torch. We just don't look at the fans overall don't look at it like that yet. They look like he's still kind of developing into himself.
And I think it's really just a detriment to his character. And at the same time, though, I do feel like it's a bit of he kind of still do. At times he do still look like he need a little help in that ring. But like, you know what? I feel like he'll make it. And I wouldn't let him go either way. So yeah, man. It's the only time I can tell though.
Yeah, what if they pulled a funny angle like this and then somehow Dominic Mysterio was like, yeah, Eddie Guerrero's actually is my real father. Like, what if they pulled that back out?
And Vicky slides out the cut like, yes, come home, son.
Oh man, like all this time, he actually, to me, he actually looks like Eddie Guerrero though, like a younger Eddie Guerrero to me right now, more so than Ray. But of course, I haven't seen Ray Mysterio too many times, so like his actual face. So I'm like,
Yeah, you want to see a terrible time where you see Ray's face? Go watch yourself some late 90s WCW where Eric Bischoff didn't understand the point of a mask and told that dude to take that mask off. And I remember what happened. It took Eddie Guerrero and half the WCW locker room to explain, bro, let him keep the mask on. Bischoff was like, nah, take the mask off.
I actually remember that, like, because recently, or not recently, but a couple months ago, I watched the Rey Mysterio documentary that's on Peacock, and they were talking about that, like how for a good stretch run, he was wrestling without the mask on, even to the point that he didn't know if he should come back, like when he debuted with the WWE, if they were gonna continue with the mask, if they were gonna bring back the mask. But for him, of course, he wanted to do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll say like this: Vince like characters, dog. He was gonna tell that dude to put the mask back on.
Exactly.
He was gonna do it.
Exactly. Um, I kind of want to see Rey Mysterio have one last run still. That's why I'm like, that's why
As
I'm
a
like,
champion.
or just he doesn't have to be champion, but at least in that type of main event scene. Like Rey Mysterio has diminished his character a whole lot to me, and that's why to me, like, if it was up to me, I would push back this Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio match maybe a year from now or a couple years, just because I don't think Rey Mysterio's done. It doesn't seem like he wants to retire. Like according to that documentary, it don't seem like he plans on retiring like anytime soon exactly. So it's like it's a little tough to me to really have this happening now because according to him, I think his retirement match he wants to have with Dominic Mysterio. But I guess you can always run it back. You can bring it back. So,
Yeah.
um, but I would like to see Rey Mysterio like in the scene again. Like to me, Rey Mysterio was he was one of the best wrestlers back in my day. Like when he was in his prime, he was in the championship scene.
Yeah.
And I don't think like he could to me, I think he back in the day, it would have been a dream match to see a Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins or something like that. Now it's like Rey is not even in the question no more. Just because of they, because of the lack of his presence being in that main event scene over the years to me.
No, yeah, no. I feel you. I feel you. I feel like that's just the WWE fumbling the bag with that one. They also fumbled the bag with Jeff Hardy because Jeff Hardy was treated in a similar way. We
Mm-hmm.
know he's main event. Where is he? And we know he can get the crowd going. But we're like, let's use him like this instead. But I understand a lot of these older guys in their older age are like, I'd rather put somebody over than do this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because like not a lot of people get something when this old man wins. You know what I'm saying? It don't really help anybody,
Mm-hmm.
because you need this business to keep going. So you need to have new stars, new faces arise, and be ready for the challenge.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, hey man, would you rather this be WCW and we just rely on Hogan, and then we build up clown shows like Goldberg?
Okay, well, here's my thing. Okay, this is a perfect this is a perfect transition into what I want to talk about anyway. This is a perfect transition. This is exactly why to me cuz you just mentioned like, having Hogan back in the WCW days, he was just like the main guy the entire time. Of course, you had Goldberg, you had some other people, but it was Hogan for a long period of time. I would say this is why this transition is perfect. Why Sami Zayn should beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Now, are you ready for this? Here's my theory behind this.
Oh God, here we go.
I was thinking about it last week when I was listening to our podcast. I was like, of course, I don't want to see Roman time come to an end, but you have to understand the moment right now and how the fans are loving Sami Zayn. And as a business guy and a businessman and a man that grew up in the Attitude Era where there was multiple wrestlers that looked to be a champion, like you had freaking The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, Mankind, Undertaker, Kane. You had all these greats who could possibly, become the WWE World Champion. And growing up in that time, that's what made the Attitude Era so great. In our time period, or in this current generation, Roman Reigns is on fire. Don't get me wrong. But you need some more guys for this generation to reach the top that it's supposed to be at. And when Sami Zayn is being loved right now, that means Sami Zayn is like this generation's Mick Foley in a sense of like, he can become champion. The fans want to see it. That's my theory. Let me know in the comment section, people, what y'all think about that. To me, Sami Zayn needs to become champion at WrestleMania. And Cody Rhodes needs to become champion. Roman needs to defend the titles both nights. Split up the championship belts. Sami Zayn becomes champion. Cody Rhodes becomes champion. Tell me your thoughts on that.
That is one of the single most worst ideas I've ever heard you bring up on this goddamn podcast. You sound like the rest of the goddamn internet clowns out there that want anybody to have the belt because Roman's had it too long. I'll tell you right now, you sit your ass down. You know your role. You goddamn jabronis. Tell you right, goddamn now, man. That's a terrible goddamn idea. Y'all don't understand the big picture. I know you guys want these things, but y'all don't understand. When you get it, you're gonna be like, this is a terrible idea. This is exactly what happened with goddamn Drew McIntyre. We gave him the belt and people were bored. We ain't doing this. No, we ain't doing that. You let Roman hold on to that belt, and I say he should held on to it for 1,000 days. I don't care who gets the belt at that point. Shit, we can give it to fucking Charlotte Flair. Yeah, let her have it.
I get what you're saying, but Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn are two different levels of entertainment. And even when Drew McIntyre, to me, was at a point where that it made sense for him to win the world championship, but to me, he still wasn't on the entertainment level of Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn freaking wrestled freaking Johnny Knoxville and the whole Jackass crew, and guess what? And put on a 4 to 5 star match at WrestleMania and made it entertaining. Drew McIntyre didn't do that. Drew McIntyre didn't do that, and I don't think Drew McIntyre would have been able to pull that off.
What was that match here? Who was he even facing at WrestleMania?
Johnny
I
Knoxville.
remember. No. Drew fought freaking what's his name?
Oh, who Drew fought? Shoot.
The clown that keeps coming back up on the goddamn defend this wrestler. I gotta bring that back.
Dude, did he face I don't even know who he fought.
And Mr. End of Days, aka
Baron
Baron born ass Corbin, bum ass Corbin. Oh man, nah. And I remember everybody's like, the wrestling world's gonna be on fire. Look who kicked out the End of Days. You're like, yeah, man, nobody cared.
When you said that, you just reminded me of Pat McAfee when you said bum ass Corbin. Like, what if Pat McAfee faced Logan Paul at WrestleMania?
Nah, because I like Pat. I like Pat a lot. I think Pat needs I don't want to say he needs more time, but it's like we need to keep putting people in the ring with Logan to help make and keep Logan look good. You put him in there with Pat. Do you think Pat can make Logan look good? Or do you think Logan can make Pat look good?
I think it'll just be one of those entertaining matches. I don't know if that is a tough one. I don't know how you would book it because to me, obviously Logan needs to win. Yeah, I mean, I guess Logan wins. Pat McAfee just make it entertaining, basically. Everybody likes Pat McAfee. Everybody recognizes Logan Paul as like a great wrestler now, but people still don't like him.
Hey man, better than half the AEW roster. I'll say that.
But I want to get back to my point. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. In the Attitude Era, we had so many greats that could become champion. I didn't even mention Shawn Michaels. I forgot to mention Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart at one point in time. It was so many people that could be the top guy. The WWE at this current time, you got Roman Reigns. You got
Bobby Lashley.
Ooh, okay. You got Bobby. You got Cody Rhodes. You got Seth Rollins. That's probably it right there. Besides
Brock Lesnar.
That's what I say. Besides Brock Lesnar, but of course, Brock. Everybody know about Brock.
I'll throw in some new guys who I'd like to see to be champion. And these are people that cheap are a champion to be champion. Freaking Montez Ford.
Oh no.
Austin Theory. People are wanting these new people to come up and be champion. And I think it's their time.
But they not there yet. They are not there yet.
Because we haven't given them the chance. Like Austin Theory's doing good things, but I'm like, bro, it's a little overdue. It's time to let Montez Ford be that guy.
So who would have a better singles run? Jey Uso or Montez Ford?
Montez Ford.
Tell me why. Tell me why you think that.
Because Montez Ford has always been oozing with charisma every time he ever shows up to do anything, dog. And on top of that, he's always been the highlight of the Street Profits. So if we let him go out there and be himself, he'll be fine. The reasoning why I feel like if we split up the Usos is like, hey, man, we're about to really find out the flaws in their game real quickly. But at the same time, though, will it be interesting? Yes, sir. Will people care? Probably. I would do, if they were to split up, I would like for him to get a whole new attire, theme music, everything.
I think with the Usos, though, you don't necessarily have to split them up on bad terms. Just like Jay is like, I kind of want to see what it's like to do, or like even like the New Day. Like the New Day was together when Kofi had freaking Kofi Mania, but he still just went on a singles run. So you don't really have to necessarily like Jimmy could just support Jay. To me, I mean, this one is tough. I mean, I agree with you. Montez Ford right now should be the guy that goes on a singles run. That's the Street Profits should be broken up. The Usos don't technically need to be broken up. But if I had to choose one right now who I think would take over out of those two, Jay Uso and Montez Ford, I'm probably gonna go Jay Uso. Cause Jay Uso, he on a different level with his promos, his acting. Like he looked like he used to watch a bunch of like old black movies, like
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 dead presidents or
dead
goddamn.
president. All his reactions is like dead presidents, freaking New Jack City, like all these different. Like I'm like, you used to be watching those movies because that's how his acting comes across. He be like real serious, like it's good though. So that's why I'm like, and then when Jay Uso had his time when he was going against Roman before he joined the Bloodline, I think Jay Uso held his own.
Hey, you know that you know what part that got me with that bloodline storyline
What?
was when Roman walked up and he was like, "I made you, I made you important. Now people don't walk up to you anymore and be like, which one are you again?" Yeah, that look on his face. I was like, God dang, they selling this goddamn storyline.
That
Like, yeah,
whole that at the end of the Royal Rumble, that whole scene with freaking Sami Zayn, the Bloodline, and Roman, that was like they took that straight out of a mafia movie. Roman, one of the greatest lines that Roman said to Sami when I think this was right after Sami hit him with the chair, and then Jimmy like hit him with a super kick. Then Roman's like sitting on the ground. Then he gets up in Sami Zayn's face, and he's like, "Oh no, this is before that. This is when he was still trying to convince Sami Zayn to hit Kevin Owens with the chair." And then Roman said, he's like, "I made you relevant." He's like, "You want to get back on? You want to get back to doing jackass stuff?" I was like, Roman is killing this right now. I was
hey,
like,
hey, man, that's the way I felt when he said that to Braun Strowman, "You're only a monster when I'm around." I'm like, shit, man. Maybe we do got to send him to Hollywood. Shit.
I was like, Roman may have an acting career in him after this point. Now I'm like, he been killing these moments right now. Each time he been on the screen, I'm like, this is about to be a great moment. This is about to be a great moment. And speaking of great moments though, anytime someone is on the screen, let's give him his flowers. Paul freaking Heyman.
Oh shoot.
Paul freaking Heyman.
I have to probably concede and be like, nah, Paul Heyman is the greatest manager we've ever gotten because it's not many times where we can just send a manager out for 10, 15 minutes and entertain me. Paul Heyman does that every single time. In fact, when Paul Heyman had his podcast and he had the Heyman hustle, I was just tuning in just to hear him talk, pick his brain. And then he had that legendary one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. No, yeah. Yeah. Paul Heyman, hey man, in my opinion, he's earned it, man. He is the best.
For sure.
Only person I could think of who can even talk on his level, Stephen A. Smith. And even then, they're not in the same what's it called? They're not in the same realm right now. But could you imagine?
That's man. You said Stephen A. Smith. That's why I wanted to see freaking The Rock versus Roman so bad. Imagine those promos. The Rock and Paul Heyman. Oh my God, that's two of the greatest of all time that has picked up the mic. They would sell that. They first off, they wouldn't even have to sell it, but them selling it would just be pure legendary entertainment. And then we're not even talking about Roman yet. We're talking about just Paul Heyman and The Rock.
Yep.
It would be mind blowing. And plus, I haven't seen The Rock work with Paul Heyman throughout his entire career. So I'm like, maybe well, I guess when he faced Brock Lesnar, maybe a little bit, maybe they have did something together. But I'm like, I'll have to really check the archives and see. But
You're going to go back to 2002, god dang SmackDown and Raw.
see if they were even on screen together. But I'm like, man, that's why I wanted to see that so bad. The
Man,
Rock and Roman.
I believe Undertaker and Paul Heyman had a couple stints back in the 2000s. You got to look at because that was back with the American Badass. And matter of fact, wait, I got to ask you something, man. I know this is off topic. How do you feel about the American Badass, man? You never really talk much about it.
I mean, to me, I think it's another version of the Undertaker. It's a good version, but I've always been a fan of the Dead Man Undertaker. But I do not mind. This Undertaker is definitely influential because even for me, like Undertaker coming out on that motorcycle has inspired me. So when I start to have my wrestling matches, I'm gonna come out on a motorcycle. It's not gonna be the same type of motorcycle. I'm probably gonna come out with more of a sports bike, but that just lets you know the impact Undertaker made, even being that version of himself. So I've always like Undertaker is just great. He's just great no matter which version you've seen. The Dead Man, the American Badass, like he's always been great. So but I just always been more so a fan of the Dead Man. But I like both versions, obviously.
I just don't get it because we grew up in the ruthless aggression era. That's where I started. I don't know where you started specifically, but you're telling me you didn't like the version of Undertaker that was getting at everybody's throat with the bandana on, going to that bike for the pipe, going through regulating everybody on site? You didn't like that?
I liked it, but I just think there's so many versions of Undertaker that was great. I think the Undertaker I like the most would probably be like the Phenom Undertaker, like back in the day, huh?
Oh, never mind. So that's the 90s. Okay.
Yeah, that's Attitude Era Undertaker. That's when he freaking started the Ministry of Darkness Undertaker.
You like that version?
Because that version he still talked, but he also still was the Dead Man. So it was like a in between the American Badass and the Dead Man. It was the Phenom, and it was just like this. The Undertaker's one of the goats to me, no matter what. Like this guy, it's so many great versions of the Undertaker. It's just that's why I'm like it's just it's tough. It's tough to. I hate to do this to the new generation, but the Attitude Era is just undefeated to me.
Hey man, I'll tell you this: the moment I was sold on the Undertaker, I remember I was watching this with my uncle. Right, it was a regular episode of SmackDown. Hogan was talking that mess to Taker. He was like, "I bet." Caught that dude slipping, tied him up to the bike, and rode with his ass across the arena. I ain't never gonna forget that. I was like, "Yeah, Undertaker, the coldest wrestler here." Yeah. I get excited just thinking about it. My bad. I know I'm yelling in the mic, but goddamn, I like wrestling, dog. I like this.
I would have rather seen speaking of Undertaker, I would have rather seen the badass Undertaker lose to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania more so than the Dead Man Undertaker losing to Brock Lesnar, because the Dead Man Undertaker should have just been undefeated. Like he just didn't seem like he should lose, no matter who it was to. But the badass Undertaker was like, he would still be dominant, but he would still lose matches here and there. So, like, if he was gonna lose at WrestleMania, which I still disagree with that decision, it should have been the badass Undertaker that should have lost to Brock Lesnar then at WrestleMania.
I can see it from a narrative standpoint. You can say the reason why Undertaker lost because he was still technically human at that point.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Here's the thing: you opened up the terrible can of worms in interest of what are you gonna do when you know Vince McMahon was gonna be like, let Roman beat him.
That was the most disgraceful one. So the Brock Lesnar one was shocking and just hurt my heart. The Roman one was just disrespectful. That was just disrespectful to me. Even though I love Roman now. I love Roman now, but at that point in time, that version of Roman Reigns, that was the most disrespectful thing I ever seen. Me and Vince still got problems right now. Like I'll have to fold Vince for seeing if I seen him right now for that one. Like really? Come on, Vince. But this version of Roman, okay. And Undertaker will be much even older in age, then I'll be like, okay, it is what it is. Because since he's already lost to Brock. But that version of Roman? Nah. Disrespectful. That was disrespectful. I couldn't believe that. I could not believe that. I want to bring this up though. Speaking of like matches I want to see, like I want to bring up a match that I want to see this year. You brought up Bobby as being somebody that's, could be in the championship contenders, could be a championship could be have his own reign. I ain't gonna lie, this Brock and Bobby thing is cool. I really want to see Brock versus Gunther. That's the match I want to see at WrestleMania. I'm
Like a
cool
triple
off the
threat
Brock and
match.
Bobby match.
You know
Like,
what's crazy? You're not the only person that's bringing this up because I do got some wrestling fans that I associate with, right?
mhm.
That they also been tired of it. But you know, man, let's just bring up Brock and Bobby real quick. How is it we in February and we still got Brock Lesnar, cowboy boots and all, running up on Bobby Lashley and regulating him on TV and stuff? Nah, dog. It should be the other way around. What we doing over here?
Bob
Triple. Come on.
Bobby had his moment, man. He eliminated Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble, man, with ease.
You know what they should have done?
Ooh, what?
Remember when Cabal eliminated the Undertaker?
Mm-hmm.
They should have did the same thing where them two just started battling their way up to the concession stands.
Yeah.
Like that's to me, I like that kind of rivalry because that's a more on-site kind of thing. And on top of that, we could have uh we can build this rivalry up even further. You know what I'm saying? When you do something like that.
I think that's definitely true to me. Like, nobody wants to see Brock and Bobby talking to each other on the mic. We just
Oh
want to see
no.
them fight, if anything.
No,
Like,
yeah. It should just be straight on site one-liners. He
I'm,
ain't big enough. He ain't there yet. Should have been me. Etc. 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 Meanwhile, clothesline, F5, hurt luck, etc. 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 It should just be on. Look, dog, you got a ruthless aggression kind of match. Give us that aggression, dog. Quit spinning the stick.
to me, what I'm do, if they gonna face each other at WrestleMania, either though I'd rather see Gunther versus Brock, I think it should be like a street fight match. It should be something that's like they gonna tear down the whole WrestleMania stadium, wrestle from freaking in the freaking parking lot to where the fans are at. They should barely ever even touch foot in that ring until maybe like the pin, or maybe they don't even have to end the match in the ring. It should just be a straight all out street fight brawl.
You know what they could do?
Mm,
Barnyard match.
Barnyard.
A match at Brock Lesnar's barn. On his farm.
I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I just wouldn't want to see that at WrestleMania. I think the fans would want to see them live in effect in
Of
person. But
course, of course.
yeah, but like for one of these pay-per-views beforehand, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah. I think we kind of learned our lesson though with the what was that match with Braun Strowman and the Fiend where they fought each other at a goddamn like lake or something like that?
I know what you're talking about. I do not remember that name of the match
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I through matches like that, it helped me understand and learn. We can't keep doing that, dog. We can't.
Nothing's gonna match up to the Boneyard match. The Boneyard match was epic, but
I'll give you that.
it happened because COVID, basically. So at this point in time, we don't really need that type of match anymore.
Yeah. I mean, how did you feel about Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania?
Like the whole,
Yeah, they had that fight at the Performance Center and it went all the way to the parking garage.
I thought that match was cool too. I mean,
Yeah.
anything during that era, like they had to get entertaining, and that's why it made sense. Like the fans couldn't be there anyway,
Yeah.
so I thought that was good.
For me, I think the best of those matches was Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
Mm.
Yeah, because I like the fact even though Kevin Owens got pinned and Seth won the match, Kevin still wanted that smoke and gave him the juice. That's how I want a match between Brock Lesnar in Bobby Lashley to go. I would want Brock to win, right? But Bobby's like, damn that, and just keep going.
Exactly. Or another thing too about that, I think they're saying Batista could be like a
Oh,
one of the
Batista's a massive
inductees.
freak.
Nah, one of the
Oh,
inductees in the Hall of Fame. Like, what if Batista was like a special guest referee or something like that at WrestleMania for a Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley match?
it's a lot of big meaty men slapping meat in that ring. God
And then
damn.
Goldberg comes out too.
Please stop it. Please stop in the name of the Lord. Hey, how much time we got left on this podcast? I ain't gonna keep bringing up Goldberg.
Goldberg comes out, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, Bobby Lashley, Batista. Who else? Who else? Who else can join that?
Hey man, go hire Rhino again for a good 1 day contract. Yeah.
Rhino.
Yeah. He's still kind of big. Hey. I got a better idea. What's cuz name? Braun Breaker.
Oh.
Have him show up like it getting kind of easy in NXT. I want to see what the big dogs are like out here.
That's the match they really need to make sure happens at WrestleMania, but I don't think it's gonna happen because it seemed like something you'll need to build to more. Like Goldberg come out
Fast track that man.
and
Just like you did Brock. Fast track.
Man. Nah.
Because think about Brock Lesnar's career, man. How did that start? Him, job guy. Well, I'm gonna go beat up Flair, Hogan, Undertaker, The Rock. Yeah, let me put hands on Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle real quick. Fast track that man, Braun Breaker, then. Do it.
Hey, Braun Breaker to me, he needs to be moved up, but I don't see them doing it until maybe after WrestleMania, when it's a new season.
I say if you do call anybody up, you call it Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes. They served their time. They proved to me they can go to the WWE and they can make it work. I just need them to work their characters in a way that can make it to where the crowds like them. Because I'd hate for another situation for guys to come up from NXT and get buried again. I hate that shit.
Yeah. Before we go though, I do gotta say this, just to bring it full circle with Paul Heyman. That man is the GOAT. This dude, everything he touches is freaking gold. That promo he cut with Cody Rhodes, phenomenal. Like, they're already starting to build towards that match. Paul Heyman is just on a different level. Anytime he touches the mic, he can build up any match. For years, being the manager of Brock Lesnar to now, we see the great. We could practically say almost thanking Paul Heyman for this version of Roman Reigns. When Paul Heyman teamed up with with Roman, that's when we seen the best of Roman, and have been seeing it ever since. Paul Heyman is on a different level. Yeah, he's the GOAT.
Hey man, imagine we just did this a little bit earlier and have him manage Ronda Rousey. We could probably be seeing her in a different light.
That's what I've been saying. It. Paul Heyman needs to manage Ronda Rousey. She gets the opportunity to learn how to be better at cutting promos directly from the source. But in that time period, while she's still learning, Paul Heyman is cutting promos for her. And then she may just have to say a couple words. Like, do the same thing you did with Brock. Like, freak, I didn't know Brock Lesnar could talk like this until they took away Paul Heyman from him. And now I'm like, it makes sense. He was with Paul Heyman all these years. So,
oh yeah,
do the same thing with Ronda Rousey. And then it just seems dope. A male, like, manager for a women wrestler. That just seems like that don't usually happen. So, I think it'll just be dope.
So I got one more thing, though. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl, dog?
Oh, I got the Chiefs. 27-23. I think it's going to be a good game, though.
All right. Looks like we're on the same page. Hold on one sec, man.
So, at this exact moment, let's see. Oh, you got the Chiefs outfit on.
Yes, sir. We on Chiefs Nation out here, dog.
Wait a minute. Sir. I thought you was going for the Eagles.
Oh man. I care about whoever wins, man. I just gonna put on the Chiefs shirt because I got a Chiefs jersey. That's all.
Okay. Who do you actually think the Chiefs gonna win, or do you got the Eagles?
No, I got the Eagles due to the fact that I know the Chiefs secondary is trash and their quarterback's really bad.
Yeah, so that's why I said, we still got the $20 bet on that day. And matter of fact, before we go to, I do got to say this. The next time y'all see this podcast, this man has already going to be changing up another age. So say happy birthday to him already.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah, say
Oh
happy
my
birthday. On
God.
Super Bowl Sunday is his birthday. So say happy birthday to John in the comment section.
Hey man, I appreciate it.
Yeah. And what else? So yeah, I got the Chiefs. He got the Eagles.
Yep.
Wrestling around this time. Oh, one last thing I gotta say. One last thing before we go. I seen these comments from Cody Rhodes. Let me see if I can find this. I just had it. But Cody Rhodes basically, oh, perfect. I found it. So Cody Rhodes was asked about, The Rock when he was supposed to return to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. And this is what Cody said. He said, with all respect in the world to one of the GOATs, The Rock, it looks like the options we have here within the roster are even better. So even better than a Rock versus Roman Reigns match.
I see what he's doing, similar to like what Chris Jericho was doing, just hyping up his people. But I do understand for like a standpoint of wrestling, one of my biggest issues have always been a part timer coming in, taking the belt off him when somebody who can really use that spotlight gets the belt. And I do feel if The Rock ain't ready now, let's get him ready for SummerSlam and have that match happen. And I feel like that would still be a good, just as good. You know what I'm saying? So I don't blame Cody in saying that, but we would never know until it actually happens. Because he says that, but then remember how John Cena versus The Rock did? Broke records.
Exactly. I would say Cody did the right thing. Like Cody did the right thing. Obviously, he's going to be champion one day for this roster. You got to build up your own team, your own roster. You got to big them up. You're going to be the leader. When you're the champion, you're the leader of the locker room, basically, for the most part, and you represent that entire roster. So he said the right things, though I still think he's wrong. The writing is on the freaking wall. There's very few times in wrestling where you don't have to really come up with a storyline. The storyline writes itself. It's been writing itself since Roman Reigns stepped foot in the WWE ring. Their family, the bloodline. Roman Reigns has become the tribal chief. They're actually really family. It's a real bloodline. And The Rock is one of the greatest of all time, as we know. So, though I agree with Cody doing the right thing, there's nothing better to me than seeing The Rock versus Roman Reigns right now. The writing is on the wall. So,
I agree, man. I agree. So only time can tell, dog. Only time can tell.
So big up to Cody for doing that, paying tribute to like his roster. He's supposed to do that. So I definitely understand. I definitely want to see Roman versus Rock one day. To me, you said SummerSlam, but to me, I think that's a WrestleMania worthy match, no matter what.
Hey man, the clock's ticking, man. We don't know what's gonna happen, but I think they got to make something happen fast.
Man, freak. If they don't do the Roman versus Sami Zayn and Roman versus Cody, day 1, day 2, or something like that, The Rock need to somehow squeeze in one of those days. Give us the match we want to see. It's freaking Hollywood, Rock. It's Hollywood. It's perfect. It makes perfect sense. But we'll see about that. And before we go, all I got to say is, you got any words for the people before we go?
Ooh. All thing I got to say is, hey, y'all got something to do? Go get it done. Yeah.
And what I'm going to say is, Sami Zayn need to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. And that's how I'm going to end it off. Sami Zayn needs to win the WWE Championship. And then Cody wins the Universal Championship.
I am so done with you, man. I had the podcast already.
That's all I'm going to say. I root for Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber, somehow, some way, he's not going to win that match. But long as he wins at WrestleMania. That's all I got to say. Make sure y'all tune into the Wrestling Republic. And follow them on all social media platforms. Do the same thing for DJ's One Heart. And this is the People's Podcast. We see you guys in the next episode. We out. Peace.